Hey everybody, welcome to Here's the Thing. I am your host, Keisha, and tonight, as my guest co-host, joining me is Miss Monique, aka Momo from We the People Unite. Hi Momo, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, ready to get into this discussion.
I am.
Yeah, so tonight we are talking about the parties, the two political parties in the US, our political system, and whether or not we are ready for a multi-party system. Uh, More Americans than ever seem discontent with the system that we have. So let's get into it. Before we talk about the facts and figures, all the stats, let's talk about how we feel. Do you mind sharing, Momo, what party you're registered with, if you are registered with the party?
Mhm. I have always been registered as a Democrat. There have been many, many times that I've wanted to re-register as an independent, but unfortunately, in some of the primaries and things like that, if you're registered as an independent, you don't get certain information and you can't vote in some of the primaries if there isn't an independent candidate. At least that's the way it is in California. I don't know if that's nationwide. So that's the only thing that has kept me registered as a Democrat, because I want to make sure that I can vote in every primary, because no matter who's running, an independent, Democrat, Republican, I'm never wanting a Republican in there, ever. So
I
I
hear that.
am registered as a Democrat. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I was a so I registered as a Democrat when I moved back to New York about 10 years ago because New York has closed primaries. So if you're not in a party, then you can't vote in that party's primary. But after the November 2024 election and the results that I did not like, I decided to deregister as a Democrat. I was really angry. I felt like, well, we can get into the
Yeah.
reasons later, but I am now unaffiliated, also known as independent. And I did not actually vote
Huh.
in this last primary, but I did vote in our general election. So that is a choice I made. And I have conflicting feelings about it, but it is what it is. Um, so
Yeah.
I mentioned that more and more Americans seem discontent with our current system. So it turns out that more Americans have been drifting towards independence for years now. So let's talk about some stats. So more Americans now identify as independent than Democrat or Republican. So if you look at 2025, you can see that 44% of Americans are registered or identify as independent versus 28% identify as Republican and 27% identify as Democrat. Does this surprise you at all?
It does not. It does not surprise me, because in my thinking and my feelings, I probably lean actually even more than independent. I probably lean more socialist than anything else.
Not socialist.
More
Oh my
progressive.
God. That's
Oh my
crazy.
gosh, I'm a communist. Oh my gosh. Yes, I do. I mean, the older I get and the more educated I become about certain things, um, and looking at how it works in other countries, I don't see anything wrong with democratic socialism at all, at all. And I don't know if independents feel that way. Um, Most of them probably do. I would think that a lot of independents are probably progressive. But then again, that's a high percentage to say that that's a lot of people that broke off from just the Democratic Party. There has to be other defections as well for it to be that high, I would think.
Yeah, I'll show some interesting things later, but independents are all across the spectrum in terms of how they lean. But I think what's interesting is, in general, it seems like because people are becoming independent, they're just tired of what we have. Like the whole red versus blue thing is not working for a lot of people. It definitely is not working for me.
No.
I'm not big, like the idea that the entire country is forced into one of two buckets is ridiculous.
Yes.
Like, we can't even agree on like what color people should paint their houses if they live in like HOA controlled neighborhoods. So why would we think that we can all agree to be part of one party or another?
Yes. Yeah.
It's silly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think it's always been the way, and so people keep it that way because I don't know if it would be too complicated for them if we had multiple parties, or if it's just the lazy way. It's the easy way for them to do it.
Yeah. Well, there is one person who made waves recently, a notable public figure who made waves for leaving the Democratic Party, and that is Miss Karine Jean-Pierre, who was the former White House press correspondent for former President Joe Biden. So I have a video of her talking about why she left the Democratic Party. So let's watch that.
Is called Independent, and it's about your decision to leave the Democratic Party this past summer. Right? June, or you told us in June or something?
No, this, yes, you're right. I
great.
forgot we're in the fall.
Thank you.
That's right.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
you're on top of things.
We
yes.
read your book here. Exactly.
Yes, June of this year.
Do you recommend everyone leave the party? And if so, where do they go? Because organization is how you face tyranny. Freelancing isn't going to get anybody anything done.
So here's the thing. I'm not telling everybody to be an independent. I'm trying to start a conversation. I'm not saying that we need a third party. I am saying that right now, the two-party system is not working.
A lot of people are dissatisfied. A lot of Democrats or people who identify as Democrats are dissatisfied with the party right now. Where do you think the major failures? What are they not doing?
Well, right now in this moment, which is why I actually wrote the book, to give people a roadmap. I don't think there's any teeth. There's no fight. Where's the soul? And when I left the Democratic Party, when I left the administration this year on January 20th of this year, I was just minding my business, going to the supermarket, going to pick up my kid, going to the coffee shop, and people would come up to me in tears, most of them, and would say to me, what's happening? Why is the Democratic leadership not fighting? What's happening? We need more. How are we going to get out of this? And I talk about that in the book. And that's what created for me an opportunity as a private citizen now to say, okay, how do we focus on where we are today? How do we move forward? And what's a roadmap that people can follow to get engaged? I think it's really important to get involved and to get engaged. And that's what this book is about.
Well, let's talk about the Democrats who are.
So what do you think about what she had to say?
I agree with her 100%. I have not read her book, but now I'm interested in reading her book. It wasn't, the publicity for her book didn't do it justice. If what she's talking about there is what her book is about, I thought it was just going to be a book sort of bashing the Dems or bashing how they treated Joe Biden. And quite honestly, I wasn't interested in that. But she makes a very interesting point, and I agree with her, and I will probably read her book now. I do believe wholeheartedly that the two-party system has failed us, and where we may not necessarily need a third party. We need for people to become engaged, but in a different way, not so much with the ideology of one party or another, but just engage in politics to what is good for the people, what is good for all the people. And that's what needs to be focused on.
I agree. And Jazzy has a good comment. The founders warned us against having a two-party system. They said it would lead to party loyalty over people, and they were right.
They were right.
That is true. The way that it's even talked about in the media, the way they talk about it, like we're two different sports teams, drives me nuts.
Yeah.
And it's us versus them. Things are either this party won or this party lost, and they don't talk about the people involved. Like if the Republicans get some kind of legislation passed, it's a win for the Republicans. What about if it's a fucking loss for the American people?
Thank
They
you.
never talk about that part. It drives me insane.
Key example is that BBB, right? How is that a win for the vast majority of people in their party that voted for them?
Mm-hmm.
It's just not. It's not. And when you have people that are more loyal to a party than they are to the actual ideals or what is good for me, I'm going to vote for my own best interest, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat or an independent or whoever. That's gotten lost in this tribalism that we have going on right now.
Yeah. There's a Pew Research poll that gives some insight into why people might be leaving the Republican and Democratic Party. And essentially, most Americans don't see either party as governing honestly and ethically. And Americans largely express negative feelings toward both the Republican and Democratic parties.
Wow.
So yeah, you can see, I like this too extreme in its positions. Net 61% people said that about the Republican Party, and 57% of the people polled said that about the Democratic Party.
Wow.
And then in terms of governing in an honest and ethical way, only 39% said that about the Republican Party and 42% about the Democratic Party. And in terms of respecting the country's democratic institutions and traditions, 44% said that applies to the Republican Party and 53% said that applies to the Democratic Party.
Wow.
Yeah. I would say if we're going to go with the tribal mentality, it seems that the Republicans are losing in this battle a little bit more than the Democrats are. They seem like they're less trusted.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I would agree with, but again, I don't necessarily trust either party.
Yeah, neither do I. As long as big money is in our politics, I don't trust it. I don't trust it at all, because what it comes down to, for instance, the Democrats talk a good game, right? They are for everything that you would think that a politician should be for, helping the people. What about especially the middle class and the poor, and doing things for people? But then some of the Democrats are backed by the same money that's backing MAGA Republicans. It's and when you see that as a citizen, you're thinking, so what are they really all about? It's like a toss-up. It's like, if you're supported by the same people, I wholeheartedly 100% disagree with this party, but you're taking money from the same people. So why are they backing you? That must mean that they think you will have their interests at heart and not necessarily the people's interest.
There's also the fact that you'll find out that Republicans might, let's say Republicans believe, like the elected officials believe one thing, but they vote the opposite way because they're playing politics. So they're not even being honest about how they feel.
Mm-hmm.
It's just about, this is the party line, so I'm going to follow the party line, even though I don't think this is the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we're all losers when that happens.
All of us. I mean, okay, prime example right now, what's going on with Marjorie Taylor Greene. All the things that she's saying now, and yet that bill passed by one vote. That could have been her vote. If she had voted for what she believes instead of just toting the party line, we might not be in the predicament that we're in right now.
Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene's on some interesting stuff lately. I don't know what to make of her and where I don't know what to believe, honestly. If she really is feeling this more rational way, to your point, it would have been great if she voted that way.
Mm-hmm.
If you really feel like Americans are getting screwed with the healthcare premium subsidies, why did you vote for the big beautiful bill?
Yeah. Yeah. Or to come out at the time, and a lot of them were like, oh, well, we didn't read it. Oh, I didn't know that was in there. I didn't read that.
That's a good segue to this other chart that I have that shows many Americans express frustration with both parties, especially Democrats. So 3/4 of US adults say that the Democratic Party makes them feel frustrated, while a smaller majority says the same of the Republican Party. Roughly half of Americans feel angry toward the Democratic Party and the Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of hope and pride, 36% of Americans feel hopeful about the Republican Party. I don't know what they're smoking.
Yeah.
And 2% feel hopeful about the Democratic Party. And then 27% of people polled feel proud of the Republican Party. In what country? And then 60% of people polled feel positive about or proud of the Democratic Party.
Wow.
So this poll was taken after the November 2024 election. So some of this anger has to do with what happened after and what's been going on during the Trump administration, and people feeling like the Democrats have not been an active opposition party. So that's where that anger and frustration comes from.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who is a registered Democrat, do you feel one way, anger, hope, pride, any of that?
No. I mean, I feel frustrated. I wouldn't necessarily say angry, but I do not feel hopeful, and I am not proud of their performance since the election. There are a lot of savvy politicians in the Democratic Party, and I just don't think that they've been smart in the way that they've handled things. There's a lack of power, of course. You know, they're in the minority, executive, legislative, all of it. You know, they're in the minority. But from the latest thing that happened, I know there was a lot of frustration when the Dems agreed to open up the government again, but they played it until after the elections, which I think catapulted a lot of the wins that the Dems saw in these special elections. And once they were there, once they opened it up again, they didn't have a choice but to swear in Grijalva, and then the whole Epstein thing opened up. So I think there was a calculation there that a lot of people maybe couldn't put together, but it's political moves like that I wanted to see from the gate, from the very start. I'm sure that there are things that they could do that could have prevented a lot of the stuff that happened from happening.
Yeah. There have definitely been some people or officials in the Democratic Party who I've been inspired by and who give me hope, like Jasmine Crockett is one that comes to mind, and AOC.
Yes.
And then locally in New York City, Zoran Mamdani and his recent win gives me a lot of hope.
Yes.
We'll see how he actually does as mayor, but I do feel hopeful at this point. But then there are people who I have so much ire toward, and one of those people is Chuck Schumer, who is one of my senators and also minority Senate speaker. And I don't know what the hell he is doing. I don't know And I haven't heard a peep out of that man for the past 3 months. Like, what are you doing? Right after the election, I wrote him a long letter. And I'm
Mhm.
not someone who is in the habit of writing to my elected officials. That's just not my thing. But after the election, I was like, I got to do something with this anger. I got to do something to channel this into like a positive like method. And so I
Mhm.
wrote this really long and thoughtful letter. I wasn't like cursing him out or anything, but I did say, I'm leaving the Democratic Party and it's on y'all because I feel like you take people like me for granted
Yeah.
and don't appreciate it. And I I said that I wanted them to stop Donald Trump. I wanted them to protect us from him and the actions that he was going to take. And so many of the things that I wrote, I'm like, was I psychic? Because I said that he was going to do this. I said this is going to happen with immigration. I said
Yeah.
that he was going to cause more like friction between people in the country. And again, what has Chuck Schumer been doing? Aside from like sitting his glasses low on his nose, I don't know.
I don't know. I do not know. Yeah, I've been very disappointed in him. And I have been equally inspired and disappointed in Cory Booker. And Hakeem Jeffries, I feel like, is finding his way, but he's moving a little too slow for me. I need for him to catch up, but I feel like he has potential. But then again, he was groomed by Speaker of the House,
Well,
Pelosi.
yeah, I was gonna say he needs to find his inner Pelosi because that woman knew how to get stuff done.
Yes, she did. And she wasn't always loud about it either. She got things done. Things would happen, and then you'd hear later in a news show or something that she was the brainchild behind it, or she was the power behind it. But I will say, I will give him credit that he does keep his coalition in line.
Okay. Well,
You know,
I'll
yeah. I mean, yeah, he had not one of those Dems strayed in the House from the vote.
that's
Unlike
true.
Schumer, who had the 8 so-called renegade senators.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
I don't believe it for a moment. I think that he was actually the calculation behind it.
Yeah, I agree. I like Jazzy's comment. Nancy Pelosi ran it like a mob, and we need that.
Yes, one of my favorites is the
Yeah.
She was something. She was, man, I admired her. I really did. I didn't always agree with everything about her, but I really admired her. I think that she was one of the best speakers we've ever had.
Yeah. So I've got another poll to show from that Pew survey. So a quarter of Americans say that neither party represents them well. About 4 in 10 US adults feel well represented or somewhat well represented by the Republican Party at 42%. And a similar number say this about the Democratic Party. And a majority at 56% say Republicans do not represent them well, and 58% say Democrats don't represent them well. And the big number that I want to point out here is 25% of adults say that neither party represents the interests of the people like them even somewhat well.
Wow.
25% of the people that feel neither like represented by neither Republican or Democrat. That is a huge number.
That is.
And what does that say about our system if 25% of people are just like, I don't want anything to do with either of these parties?
To me, it represents failure, to be honest with you. Somewhere along the line, they've failed. Both parties and leadership in both parties have failed. I don't know when politics became what's the word I'm looking for? It's a capitalist thing. You go into politics seemingly to make money, not necessarily to represent the people who voted for you, but let's just see how much money I can make and then get out.
Well, didn't speaking of Marjorie Taylor Greene, didn't she start out with like, I don't remember the direct numbers, but it was something like her net worth when she became a congressperson was like 700,000, and now she's leaving with like 20 million or some insane shit. Like,
Yes.
no, like how did you get so rich? And just
insider trading, allegedly.
Yes, allegedly.
That's how it happens. And the timing of her resignation, as AOC likes to point out, she gets her 5 years, so she's fully vested in her retirement, so she's taken care of for the rest of her life. And who knows what, yes, that we're paying for. On top of that, she's got the millions that she's made. So yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why, like, regardless of what she's saying now, and I understand that if people have a change of heart about being MAGA, that we should not push them away, but I will never trust her because, hello, insider trading, allegedly or not, I believe she did the shit. So somewhere the woman is sketchy. And she also, anyway, I'm not going to get into the Marjorie Taylor Greene, but
yeah.
Ultimately, it's like, do you feel represented by the Democratic Party as someone who is a registered Democrat?
The Democratic Party, as it describes itself, you would think that I would feel fully represented because of what they say they stand for. I guess I don't feel represented by the individuals that are in power now, if that makes any sense. I think that the ideology of the Democratic Party has been lost to the individuals that now carry the D next to their names. I just don't know if they are fully vested in what Democrats are supposed to be about.
And what do you think when you hear that someone is independent or unaffiliated?
I usually, before, I used to think that if someone was independent or unaffiliated, that they were extreme in one direction or another. I always believed that the parties themselves were more centrist. Now, when I hear about someone being independent or unaffiliated, my first thing is that's a frustrated person. That's an angry person. That may even be a confused person, a person who doesn't really know what either party stands for, because you wouldn't know by just watching the people, certain people. I'm speaking in general now, because like some of the people that you pointed out earlier, I do believe that we have some diehard believers, but unfortunately they're from Congress on down to state legislators. I truly believe that so much of our Congress and our Senate has lost their way.
Yeah. So I mentioned that I am now unaffiliated. I deregistered as Democrat in November of last year. Oh my gosh, it's been a year. Happy anniversary to me. Yeah. And I only registered as a Democrat because of the whole closed primaries thing, which is a whole other issue that drives me nuts. I don't think we should have closed primaries. I think they should be open primaries, because you're already like knocking some people out of the system if you're not part of a party. But what I think is interesting about independent is there are certain ideas that people have if you say that you're independent. Like, I think some people even think that independent is a party in itself. And it's not. But because of how the media kind of throws terms around, when they do share like results of polls, they'll say Democrats feel this way, Republicans feel this way, independents feel this way. And some people have started to think that that is a party in itself. And I'm like, no, it just means you don't have a party.
Yeah.
And so I personally like don't like to say that I'm independent. I prefer to say that I'm unaffiliated. And it just means that I don't feel represented by either party. I feel like the Democratic Party is a large tent, as they say, and that tent is too big to satisfy everybody. There's just no way that you can satisfy everybody. And I don't like the idea of having to fit in one of two boxes. Like I think that's just absurd on the face of it. And two, I don't appreciate how I feel like the Democratic Party takes Black voters for granted. They just assume that we're all going to vote for them because they're Democrats. And they come smiling in our faces, come to churches, barbershops, all the cliche places when it's time to campaign. But after that, we're just an afterthought. And it's like, well, we'll get to what you need later. We'll get to your issues later. We don't really want to scare the nice white people who vote for us too. We want the nice white moderates to feel good about what's happening for them too. And I'm just like, you want my vote, you need to work for it. And I'm not saying I'm going to vote for a Republican. I would be open to it, but I have yet to see a Republican that I would want to vote for.
Yeah.
I'm also not going to just give you like, here's my name on your roll of registered Democrats just for free. No, you got to. No more taking Keisha for granted.
Yeah, and they take it for granted to their own detriment. There are a lot of Black voters that they've abandoned. Black voters that are in typically red states, they don't even go there anymore. They don't even try to win those people over. And so there are so many people, especially in the South, who have just been brainwashed and ingrained in Democratic Party equals killing babies and demons and Satanists and transgender and this and that and the other. And so there are a lot of Black folk in the South that will vote for a Republican on one issue only. And it might be abortion, or it might be a transgender issue or something like that. They have forgotten that there are people there that if they went there and they just spoke, never mind the ideology of the parties, just speak to people where they are. Can you afford your groceries? Can you afford your rent? Can you afford your light bill? Can you send your kids to the school that you want them to go to? Well, here is what I think. Here's what I will do for you. Forget about even introducing yourself as a Democrat. Drop it. Forget it. Just go to people and talk to them about what concerns them. That's what Mamdani did. And he got a lot of the same voters that Trump did. Take a lesson. But it's like the Democratic hierarchy don't even want to pay attention. There's no humility there. It's like they cannot learn anything new. They're insisting on their way, and their way hasn't worked in decades.
But let's keep doing the same thing that we've been doing that's not working.
And what is the definition of crazy? Insanity.
Yes. Another thing I think is an interesting misconception about independents is that they're just on the fence, or they're people who refuse to take a stand.
Yeah.
And maybe there are some fence sitters. I'm sure that in the group of people who feel unrepresented by either party are fence sitters, are moderates. But I heard someone say, oh, independents are just Republican light. And I was like, oh my God, no. Like,
No. I've never thought of independents as Republican light, even before, the current state of politics over the past decade. I've never thought of them as that. I just always thought of independents as people that just didn't agree with the Republicans, didn't agree with the Democrats. They had their own ideology, and they just felt like neither party represented them well. So they preferred to be independent. But I would never think Republican light about an independent.
Yeah, I mean, it just runs the gamut what people think. But I want to share a video from CNN about independent voters that is illuminating.
And Democrats, that's probably what comes to mind when you think of how Americans are divided in politics. But the biggest political category, independents, and they're one of the most important wild cards of all.
I don't want to get sucked into, well, I'm a Republican, so I will only vote Republican, or I'm Democrat, so I'll only vote Democrat.
A new CNN poll of independents shatters the myth of the classical swing voter who goes from one side to the other in each election. Our analysis finds that these voters are actually broken up into 5 categories. The upbeat outsiders.
Part of it is because I want to give everyone an even shake. And because I do have this dichotomy of beliefs, I think that I've always kind of rode this tightrope between parties.
The disappointed middle.
Everything has just gotten so bad with both parties. I don't agree with either one of them. It just seems like we're driving a car without a windshield.
The Democratic lookalikes.
The rhetoric is beyond anything that I could have possibly imagined. The speed at which we are apparently losing some rights that we've just always had frightens me quite a bit.
The Republican lookalikes.
For now, at least, I'm a little more towards the Republicans than the Democrat. But like I said, that could change. So as soon as one party gets a lot of power, they change.
And those who are largely checked out. Winning elections today is far less about changing voters' minds. In a deeply divided America, it's about which people from these 5 groups decide to vote at all.
I thought that was interesting. The 5 different categories.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of where I would fall. Maybe the Democratic lookalike, but I hate labels.
Yeah, I know. I hate labels too. I don't know. I don't know if I would fall into any of those categories. I'd probably fall more into a category of just an independent thinker.
Well, you gotta pick a category, Mo. You can't just be you can't just be floating out there.
Nobody puts Momo in a box. No.
Yeah, like what Jazzy says, labels are annoying. I just want someone to fight for me. Me too. I just want world peace. I want world peace. I want people. I don't want violence. Who can give me that?
Yeah.
A president who doesn't call people piggy, like that would be nice too.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We've fallen so low.
We really have.
We really have. I cannot believe that so many Americans chose that man to represent us.
I just hope that more and more people are seeing the light. Come to the light, people.
Come to the light. Yeah, it seems that way, but you never know. It's so many people seem to be the "what have you done for me lately" sort of voter. If you do something for them, they're gonna, "Oh, vote for you. I'll vote for you." It's just somehow they can put blinders on to every other negative thing. If it's a one positive thing that you do and it affects their life. Critical thinking has just all but disappeared in America.
And to add to that, some people are just raised to be part of one party or the other. Like some people are raised to be Republican. Like they go to church and for being Republican is part of who they are. Like that's their birthright. We vote Republican and they don't even think about it. They don't even think twice about it.
Yeah. And that's just crazy. It's crazy to me. But then I've been that way since I was little. I've always questioned things. So I cannot relate to the herd mentality at all. I just can't.
So I want to talk about, since it's clear that there are a large number of people who don't feel represented by either party, and are moving toward independence, what could our alternatives be? And I don't think it's just a third party. I would like to talk about a multi-party system. So let's first talk about what a multi-party system is. So a multi-party system is basically when voters have more than just two giant umbrella parties to choose from. So instead of squeezing everyone into Democrat or Republican, you have multiple parties that reflect different parts of the political spectrum. And I want to point out that I'm talking about multi-party system versus a third party, because often when people hear third party, they think, especially with president, well, a third party can't win. Like, that's just a wasted vote. And that's not, like, we need to think bigger than that. We need to think about, like, how can we revamp our system, redo it in a way that works for more people. So I would like to see a viable multi-party system. And in order for that to happen, we'd have to change how we vote and how votes are counted. And Jazzy has already beat me to my video where she says, I think Canada has that in Germany. So let's watch a video that explains the different types of voting systems. All right. Can you hear that? No, because it's not on stage.
No. I hear like a little like
FPTP is a simple plurality system where voters select one candidate and the first past the post. FPTP. Origin, widely used in British parliamentary elections since the 18th century. FPTP is a simple plurality system where voters select one candidate and the candidate with the most votes wins. It's used in single-member districts. Pros: easy to understand, quick results, encourages stable majority governments. Cons: can lead to wasted votes, underrepresentation of smaller parties, and strategic voting. Example: United Kingdom, United States for Congress, Canada. 2. Two-round system, runoff voting. Origin, developed in France in the 19th century. In this system, if no candidate gets a majority, over 50%, in the first round, the top two face off in a second round. Pros: ensures majority support, gives voters a second chance to choose. Cons: more costly and time-consuming, may lower turnout in the second round. Example: France, presidential elections, many African nations. 3. Ranked choice voting, instant runoff voting. Origin, first adopted in Australia in the early 20th century. Voters rank candidates in order of preference. If no candidate has a majority, the least popular is eliminated and votes are redistributed based on preferences, repeating until someone wins. Pros: reduces strategic voting, ensures broader support, eliminates need for second election. Cons: more complex to count and explain, may confuse voters. Example: Australia, House of Representatives, parts of the US, Maine, New York City. 4. Proportional representation, PR. Origin, developed in Belgium in the 19th century. Parties gain seats in proportion to the number of votes they receive. There are several types: party list PR, mixed member PR, etc. Pros: fairer representation of smaller parties, fewer wasted votes, more diversity. Cons: can lead to fragmented parliaments and coalition governments. Example: Netherlands, Israel, South Africa. 5. Mixed member proportional, MMP. Origin, adopted by Germany post-World War II to blend majoritarian and proportional elements. Voters cast 2 votes, one for a candidate and one for a party. Some seats are filled by district winners, others are allocated to match overall party vote share. Pros: combines local representation and proportional fairness. Cons: more complex, party list control may reduce individual accountability. Example: Germany, New Zealand. 6. Approval voting. Voters can vote for as many candidates as they approve of. The candidate with the most approval votes wins. Pros: simple, reduces vote splitting, encourages consensus candidates. Cons: doesn't show intensity of preference, unfamiliar to many voters. Example: used in some U.S. cities like Fargo and D. 7. Board account. Voters rank candidates, and points are assigned based on position in ranking. The candidate with the most total points wins. Pros: reflects broader preferences, favors consensus over polarizing candidates. Cons: vulnerable to tactical voting, less known. Example: used in academic organizations and some party leadership elections. 8. Single transferable vote, STV. A proportional system where voters rank candidates, votes are transferred based on preferences to achieve proportional outcomes in multi-member districts. Pros: very fair, minimizes wasted votes, empowers voter choice. Cons: complex to administer and count, can confuse voters. Example: Ireland, Malta, local elections in Scotland.
Will any of those appeal to you?
I would probably, the one that would appeal to me maybe is the ranking the candidates and voting that way, because you do get a second opportunity to cast a vote. You know, one, if candidates are eliminated and then you take however many that are left behind with the majority of the votes and you get to vote again, I think that would be more representative of the people, because if your candidate doesn't make it to the next round, you do have an opportunity for your voice to still be heard. So I kind of like that one.
Yeah, we have that for New York primaries.
Yeah.
And
and it's this cycle is the first time that I even knew that. I didn't even know that about New York, and that you guys voted like that. But yeah,
it is
like
fairly new. It's fairly
Mhm.
new. I think this is the second time that we've done it, and the first time I did get to vote in the primary, and I remember I didn't rank Eric Adams at all, and I'm like, why the fuck is he our mayor?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
All these other people. He was not even in the 5. And I was like, how is he? Anyway, I do like the system because I feel like, one, you feel more invested because you don't just have one choice, you have multiple choices. So even if your first choice doesn't get in, then maybe your second or third choice does. So you still feel like you have some attachment and like you have some choice in the matter.
Yeah.
Where the winner take all thing just doesn't always seem fair.
No. And I also too think giving people a second opportunity, maybe that person that just didn't think it was worth it to go out and vote, if you've got a second chance, like, okay, we've cut it down and narrowed it down to these candidates, and you start looking at the candidates and thinking, well, you know, maybe I should get out there and vote. Maybe I should have my voice heard. So it's also a second opportunity maybe to get some voters off the couch and into the voting booths.
Yeah. I really like generally the idea of proportional representation. So everybody gets kind of a slice of the pie. That seems more fair. And so, like, when you mentioned earlier that some Democrats don't even like go speak to people in red states because they don't even think they have a chance of winning, that would solve that problem, because you have a chance with everybody. It's just finding your people, and you would get representation in Congress or in your like local parties just based on proportion of representation.
I honestly wish that we could just drop the parties altogether. I'm going to be honest with you, and just have people go out there and tell you what they're all about. Never mind whether they're a Democrat or Republican or whatever. Just tell me what you're going to do for me. And whether I like what you say or whether I believe what you say, then you may or may not get my vote. But I think having labels preconditions people to look for reasons to vote for that person, especially if they're in your party that you're affiliated with.
Yeah.
So let's drop the parties.
I want to show a video that talks about proportional representation and how that could work.
Wonder why Congress can't get anything done and how to fix it? Well, there's a great new piece in the New York Times that says if we want to change the outcomes, we need to change our election system. For example, most democracies in the world use proportional representation, or PR, and it works exactly how it sounds. If 40% of a district votes Republican and 60% votes Democratic, Republicans would win 40% of seats in the district and Democrats would win 60%. This means nearly everyone would have a member of Congress in their district who represents their views, and elected officials who come from different parties but represent the same district would have new incentives to work together. According to the New York Times, proportional representation could even foster more parties and give Americans the wider range of choices that they want. Congress is already exploring opportunities to adopt PR via a bill called the Fair Representation Act, as well as a new study commission. But the good news is you don't have to wait for Congress. You can advance PR in your own community. Portland, Oregon just became the largest city to use it, and local activists have also brought forms of PR to cities in Illinois, Minnesota, and Michigan in recent years. If you want to get involved, visit fairvoteaction.org/get-involved. Ever wonder why Congress can't?
See, yeah, I like that.
I do too, and I had no idea that there was even a bill up for discussion about this. Like, that's awesome. I don't know if it's anywhere, but at least people are thinking about it.
Now, is that a state bill somewhere, or is it a national bill?
It sounds like it's national.
Huh. Okay.
Oregon's already doing it, but it sounds like it's national. I haven't heard of it. So, and on obviously we have so many other things that are going on in this country that it's not surprising that we wouldn't hear about everything going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely want to learn more about it and find out how to support it because I am in favor.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that people would be open to changing how we vote?
I think people would be. I don't think that politicians will be. They're all too afraid of losing their seats and losing their power. I really don't think that they would support something like that. But I think the people would.
Yeah, I wonder about that. And I think it would have to be the people who demanded the change and pushed parties to adjust.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they would be one of our biggest hurdles to make these things happen.
Yeah, I think so. But if you were to push that, if that were actually become the way we voted, that might solve the issue of what I was talking about before, where you have certain parties that their politicians don't even go into certain areas because they just automatically assume, well, that person's going to vote, that district is going to vote Republican, that district is going to vote Democratic. But if you make people speak to all the people, I think that there would be a more fair and accurate representation of the people in government.
Yeah, I just know that we already are kind of acting like we're in a multi-party system because people are leaving the Democratic Party, they're leaving the Republican Party, and they need a place to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not saying it would be easy, but people are dissatisfied. So it seems like now is as good a time as any to try something new.
Yes. I agree with you on that because I don't think that there's been disproportionate a number of people that feel so disenfranchised by politics as the state that we're in right now. So I'm a bit of a control freak. I think that's the only reason why I haven't left the Democratic Party, because I do want to have a voice even in the primaries. You know, it's like I can't sit back and watch who everybody else is voting for and then cast my vote. I'm a bit of a control freak that way. I want to know that I have a voice, but I definitely have not felt like a Democrat in a long time.
Yeah, I really thought long and hard about my decision because of the primary thing. But ultimately, for me, I decided like if I don't agree with the system, participating in it is not going to help change it. And the more, and I'm not, this is not an indictment of you or anyone else. Everyone has to make their own choice. But I figure the more people who decide to withdraw from the system, the more likely it is to change. So
yeah,
here's hoping, and I'm going to be looking up that bill.
Sort of like almost like a political boycott.
Yeah, exactly.
Huh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I enjoyed that discussion.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be a good discussion. I was excited when I saw the topic. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Let's get into some more fun stuff with our rapid fire grab bag segment. And I've got a little wholesome story to share. So apparently, cow cuddling is the new hot thing.
Oh my gosh.
And dairy farms are using cow cuddling as a source of income.
Wow.
So cow cuddling is not new. It grew in popularity when people were seeking connection during the coronavirus pandemic, but it has taken on a new meaning in recent months for farmers who are looking for extra revenue amid decreasing dairy prices.
Wow.
These pictures, right? It really makes me want to cuddle a cow.
Oh my gosh.
Some farmers train their cows by teaching them to sit and snuggle. Others only use calves for cuddling since they're smaller and learning to trust people. Once the cows are ready, some lie their heads on people's laps and fall asleep. People relax amid hay bales by placing their heads near the cow's chest and listening to their slow resting heartbeats.
Wow.
We get a lot of people saying, best day ever, which is absolutely wonderful. The smiles on people's faces is priceless. It makes all the hard work seem worth it. Look at this cow's hair. I love it.
I know, right? Look.
So good on the dairy farmers for finding a new way to bring in money. It's hard out there for a farmer.
Yeah, it's hard out there right now for those farmers. Cows are so big, though. I think I'd have to, if I was going to cuddle a cow, I would have to start with a calf, because cows are huge.
Yeah, look at these Holsteins. But oh my gosh, I was looking at these pictures earlier and I was like, I really got to become a vegetarian.
Oh, well, no, I can't give up my state. I'm sorry.
I mean, I didn't think it could happen today, but eventually.
I could probably become a pescatarian. I don't know if I could, I don't know if I could go vegan or strictly like no meat.
Yeah, I think I would go pescatarian first. I just couldn't go spend the day cuddling cows and then go home and eat a burger. I would feel like the worst human being.
Yeah, well, I don't eat that much red meat anymore anyway. I eat mostly chicken and fish and a little bit of pork, but yeah, I don't eat that much red meat anyway, so it actually would be hard to give it up.
Yeah. Well, I'll deal with that guilt later. Another thing I wanted to share is this woman who went viral for showing her complicated path to her Paris apartment. So this is wild.
By the tour of me leaving my apartment, I thought naturally I would do the scarier view, which is me going up the stairs into my apartment. So here we go, the main entrance. Say a prayer. So naturally, as we walk in through the front door, we are met by stairs which lead to another door, which is met by a pathway with no stairs that leads to another door that is met by a courtyard to lead us to another door. And while we're here, I'll address the first question that many people had is how the hell do I carry my groceries? And that is by hand. I am a woman of integrity, so I will carry the groceries for myself. However, the load is limited to 2 leeks and 1 can of Coke. So then we open the next door to get us to the security entrance to the next door. Here we go. And once we're in this door, then we meet our fateful demise, the steps. I take a moment of prayer to reflect on what's about to happen. And then without further ado, I go. Okay, a moment to pause and catch my breath. Give myself some grace before tackling the rest.
No lift, I guess.
No lift.
Wow. She better not ever come home drunk.
And she's still going.
Oh, that's crazy.
And the Louvre could really learn a lesson here because now we're at another door with 2 locks just to get into another hallway. And safety first, of course, so have to then lock both of the locks that I just unlocked. Okay, 2 more hours and I should be at my apartment.
Oh, this is crazy. More stairs.
I mean, this is wild because this is sped up.
You have to.
And there she is.
It takes her 20 minutes to
Now
get
we won't
there.
be leaving for 5 to 7 business days.
That is nuts.
Would you live there?
No. No, I mean, I would have to look for another place. No.
I don't even know how one finds such an apartment.
You know what? Maybe there was nothing else available. I don't know, but I would show up there, and if they brought me through all of that, I would get to maybe the 2nd or 3rd flight of stairs, and I'd be like, you know what? I'm good.
Not for me, yeah.
I'm gonna keep looking. No, thank you.
And Jazzy says, "Good Lord, is she in a castle trap house?" A trap house.
That's nuts. That is nuts.
It has to be the cheapest rent. Like, I can't even imagine.
The rent must be phenomenal for her to go through all that. I probably wouldn't leave my apartment. I'd have to work from home or something.
I would never leave my apartment. I barely like leaving my apartment, and I have an elevator. So I have one more thing to share. And it is cute. So are raccoons on their way to becoming America's next pet?
Don't those things bite?
Raccoons are evolving based on their proximity to humans, even starting to look cuter. It's really cute. If you have an animal that lives, look at those hands. If you animal that lives close to humans, you have to be well behaved enough. That selection pressure is quite intense. And it said that their snouts are becoming shorter. So evaluation of nearly 20,000 photos found a clear reduction in snout length in urban raccoons compared to their rural cousins. a physical shift consistent with the early stages of domestication seen in cats and dogs.
Wow.
So this might be the new hot pet. They are really cute.
They are really cute.
Trash pandas.
Yeah, I also like sea otters, but you know.
I mean, is it the sea otters or the seals that have been like stealing people's surfboards?
The otters have been stealing.
I don't think they're ready to be pets just yet. Jazzy said, we feed raccoons in our backyard. We give them grapes and they wash them in our garden. I love when they wash their food. It's so cute.
Oh my gosh. How cute is that?
I would totally have a pet raccoon. Not in New York, because New York raccoons are New Yorkers and they're scary.
Like those New York rats.
Yes. Like all New Yorkers are tough, including the animals. Including the wildlife. Even the pigeons will knuck if you buck.
Oh man.
But that's it. That's it for this episode. Momo, thank you for joining once again. You are a wonderful guest co-host, and I appreciate this.
I enjoyed it.
Yay. And Jazzy and Andrea, thank you for joining in the chat. Thank you for the laughs and the thoughtful comments. Tune in next week, next Tuesday, for Here's the Thing at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. And tomorrow, tune in to We the People Unite live at 7:30. We have our Thanksgiving special episode. And happy Thanksgiving, y'all. Take care, stay curious, and let's try and get a better voting system in this country.
Yes, indeed. We need it. We need it.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.